So how do you describe and come up with that focal question for scenario-based planning?
Well, a focal question is intended to drive the research and create boundaries. And one of the things you want to do is make sure it's broad enough that it can include all of the things you want to do. So if, for instance, if we use the future of learning, you want to have something that is very broad like that, because future of learning could mean what happens in universities, could mean what happens in commercial professional development. It could mean what happens to personal learning, right? Because you don't necessarily have a future that is based on a question that is what happens in the, a particular university in a classroom setting, right? So you could have a question about what does a classroom look like in 2030? That's a very narrow question, and you would have very, very small answers to that kind of question, and not a lot of variability. If you look at the future of learning, you're actually looking at challenging the underlying assumptions that are based on perhaps making an assumption that universities are the right way to deliver education, right? Or that classroom learning and traditional education is the right way to deliver it. You may then look at much broader questions about what are the partnerships between universities and businesses, what are the new technologies enabling people to do in terms of self-learning, and where are the motivations coming from for learning? Are they coming from individuals? Are they coming from the state? Are they coming from commercial concerns? And so there's lots and lots of richness that you can have in a much broader focal question. And so you want to really think about it as a boundary, but not too narrow of a boundary. And you want to also be very precise on the language so that you're not kind of dragging on and creating a focal question that's 20 or 30. I try to keep it to 10 words or less. And so thinking about, for instance, as we are, what's the future of learning in 2030? Very concise, very bounded. You would have there are some things that would be somewhat related to that if you were looking at other things happening in 2030, but you're going to do a very, very different set of research on that question than if you say, what's the future of banking going to look like, or the future of retail, because you're not interested, for instance, in cash registers or banking, financial instruments that people are going to be you're not going to be looking at that. You're looking at, very purposefully what happens in education. But again, much more broadly than if you just say, what's the future of this particular university or this particular way of delivering value.